All right, in our new lesson, we're going to talk about divisibility. And our objective is to introduce divisibility rules for division by 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, and 10. And when we're talking about division, remember that we're talking about breaking numbers into equal parts. Okay? And for divisibility to happen, you need to be able to break things break numbers into equal parts that do not have any remainders. So we're going to look at 2 and 3 in the video here, and then when we get to class tomorrow, you'll look at 5, 6, 9, and 10. Now, don't forget that there are 4 parts to every division problem. We have a remainder, divisor, dividend, and quotient. Now, not necessarily in that order. So if you're looking at the problem 135 divided by 5 equals 27 with a remainder of 0, 135 is our dividend, 5 is our divisor, 27 is our quotient, and there is no remainder in this particular problem, so our remainder is 0. So you can look at it as dividend divided by divisor equals quotient. Or when you write it out to show your work, you have the dividend under the fraction bar here. You have the divisor on the outside of the fraction bar, and then you have the quotient on top. So the quotient, of course, is your answer. Now, if you were going to have a remainder, it could go right out here on the side. Okay. So what is the big idea? And this is where you need your notebook and you need to write down the vocabulary, because this is where we get to the definition of divisibility. So there's 3 things that I want you to write down. The first one, this is the actual definition of divisibility. A whole number, which is the dividend, is divisible by another whole number, the divisor, if the remainder in the division is 0. So that's what makes divisibility. If the remainder is not 0, then it's not divisible. So that's your basic definition. If you need to pause the video, you can do that so you can write down the definition. The next thing I want you to write down is this important note. The quotient must be a whole number for divisibility to be true. And if the remainder is not 0, then the number being divided is not divisible by the second number. Remember, you can pause now and write all of this down in your notebook. Start up the video once you're done. Okay, so our first test of divisibility is looking at divisibility by 2. So a number is divisible by 2 if the number ends in an even number, 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So we're looking at the ones place in our number to determine whether it's divisible by 2. So for our first example, 80 is divisible by 2 because the number in the ones place is a 0. 83 is not divisible by 2 because the number in the ones place is a 3. I keep marking stuff here. Sorry about that. Okay. And in our next example, we have 4,468,247 is not divisible by 2 because 7 is odd in the ones place. So it's not an even number. And last, we have 597,318 is divisible by 2 because 8 in the ones place is divisible by 2. So to recap, a number needs to be even. So that's key. It's 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8 in the ones place. Okay? So write down the divisibility rule for the number 2 in your notebook. If you need to pause, you may pause now. You may also write down the examples just so you get them in there. All right, so now we're looking at divisibility by the number 3. So remember to write down the rule and write down the examples that I give, okay? So a number is divisible by 3 if the sum of its digits is divisible by 3. And when we talk about sum, of course, don't forget that we are talking about adding all the numbers up. So sum is our key word. Sum, add the digits up. So our example, 246, is divisible by 3 because 2 plus 4 plus 6 equals 12, and 12 is divisible by 3. Okay? Looking at our next example, we have 237. Now, is 237 divisible by 3? Let's see. 2 plus 3 plus 7. Now, 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 7 is 12. Is 12 divisible by 3? Does 3 go into 12 evenly without a remainder? Yes, it does. So 237 is divisible by 3. Happiness is here all around. Okay. Now, what about 415? Is 415 divisible by 3? Let's check our test. Oh, let's put a little 3 over here with a little question mark. Whoops. Let's try that again. All right. Okay. 4 plus 1 plus 5. 4 plus 1 plus 5. So 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 plus 5 equals 10. Is 10 divisible by 3? Well, 3 goes into 9 equally. 3 goes into 12 equally. But 3 does not go into 10 evenly. So no, it is not divisible by 3. So 415 is not divisible by 3. So it's a big no. Okay? So don't forget to write down these examples. We will work on 5, 6, 9, and 10 in class tomorrow. And don't forget to finish the quiz for lesson 1.5 on Edmodo. All right? I will see you guys tomorrow.